Welcome to Talk About Games. I'm your host, games editor and resident newbie, Rishi. And with me today we have a very special guest, our podcast producer and master of all things features, Pranay Parab.
That's me.
And today we're going to discuss something that's been on the minds on a lot of our readers, who sent us emails, messages, Orkut scraps of all things, about the price of games in India, particularly the price of PC games in India.
Wait, Orkut is a PC game?
I know, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to discuss today. So, to start off with, for most people, PC gaming used to be ridiculously cheap. There used to be a situation where you'd pay not more than maybe $2.99, $6.99, worst to worst case $9.99 for a game on PC. And that's suddenly changing. We're seeing games on PC that are priced at $2,499, $3,499, in some cases even more than 5,000 rupees on Steam. And we're here to explain why this is happening. Now, the reason for this historically low pricing on PC had to do with the fact that publishers wanted to give India a better rate. And they gave India a better rate because they saw that there was a large number of people, and hopefully a large number of people would mean more sales.
Yeah, but there is a flaw in this logic. Essentially, India has a large population for sure, but India does not have a large population that can afford a computer that can play games. So especially like historically, if you look at it, India's economy has been growing over the while, income has been rising slowly, and now we have a lot more people who can afford a gaming PC than what we had maybe 10 years ago. And up to around 5 years ago, we had these game prices with $499 and $699.
Yes.
So up until that point, the logic was that, okay, there are a lot of people in this country, so maybe, we can offset that loss in revenue by increasing the volume of sales, but it doesn't really work like that because, how many people can afford a PC and how many of them are going to buy your game at the end of the day. So a game available at 499 rupees would sell a lot, sure, but then the people who can pay 499, most of them can afford to pay 2499 for a game as well. So Rishi, I think that's one of the reasons why we had the whole GTA 4 to GTA 5 transition, right? Where GTA 5 was available for 2,499 rupees, whereas GTA 4 was just 499.
Yeah, that is true. We've seen this situation particularly with GTA. And fun fact though, GTA 4 at launch was 499 rupees, and day one quantity for India was 50,000. However, that 50,000 units took over a couple of months to sell out back in the day. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that people would come in, buy the game because they saw how cheap it was and realize it wouldn't run on their PC. With GTA 5, yes, the numbers were a lot smaller, but at 2,499, and it was 2,499 for a variety of reasons. One, because it came on 5 discs. The second thing is because it was actually a proper physical edition, which had, a map and everything you'd expect with a PC game.
But I think that was just like Rockstar trying to placate people who were angry, to justify, to give itself reasons to price the game higher.
Not really. Not really. See, reason being is with every Rockstar game, be it on PC, console, or otherwise, they've always taken that care to ensure there's a map, there's a manual, and that people get what they're paying for. So it's something they usually do. Another publisher who's been good with that was CD Projekt Red with The Witcher 3, where they actually put in an OST, a map, and other material along with the game on PC and console.
Yeah, so the point here is that Rockstar raised the price. Sure, one of the reasons which people usually don't hear about or don't talk about much is the fact that, if games are priced lower for India, they get re-exported. So what this means is a game that is available at 2,500 rupees abroad or 4,000 rupees abroad, if it's available at 500 or 1,000 rupees in India, then what happens is the game comes here, physical copies of the game arrive in India, and then some less than ethical people, they export it back to other regions for a profit. So that way, the people who are in the other regions selling those games, they make a profit, these guys make a profit, but who loses out? You. The PC gamer loses out because you don't get copies. When you go to your store, you don't get any game you want in stock.
Yeah, and we've seen this happen with a lot of high-profile titles in the past. One recent example was BioShock Infinite, which was $499 in India, and that got re-exported a lot outside of the country. We've even seen that with SimCity, the last SimCity game on PC, where it was, I think, $14.99 or $15.99, and that got re-exported a lot. Even other games like Devil May Cry, that also got re-exported as well because that was $9.99 in India. And a lot of times, in this case, since it's PC and a lot of these would activate on Steam or Origin, and at that time there wasn't region locking. It was a simple solution for these, well, not so scrupulous people to just take photos of the codes and just email them out, or just put all the codes in an Excel sheet and email them out. And that used to be quite the thing. That used to happen quite often, particularly with a lot of AAA titles where where India had a pricing advantage. Because as Pranay said, if you're staying in India and you're paying close to what is $10 for a game, and abroad the game is $60, some sites like G2A, G2Play, or even Kingwin, or even cdkeys.com or Funstock or whoever, they can essentially sell it at $40 and still make a decent profit, undercutting everyone else. So what used to happen was there'd be situations where quantities for PC games in India used to be ridiculously high, and the demand while there in India wasn't exactly sustained because a lot of it would be sold out. And there was a repercussion to this as well. I mean, today you walk into a store and you want to buy Civilization 6. If you want to buy more than 2 copies, you'll have to be cleared by the store cashier who will decide whether he wants to give you 2 copies or not, because he doesn't want it to be re-exported. So that's some of the repercussions we're seeing as well. And it's not just going into a store, right? Even if you're trying to buy a game on Amazon, because of the pricing on Amazon as well, they won't let you buy more than 1 copy at a time. So re-export is one reason why we've seen the price increase, and that's also another reason why, even though a game may be cheap, you might not get it because of this reason. And however, there have been publishers that have been holdouts who have been aware of this for a while and just want to nip it in the bud. Activision was one of them. With Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, they essentially raised the price on their games, and it stayed that way. So PC pricing has been same as console since that time. We've seen it at the EA as well, at least from 2013, when they raised prices from, I think, $14.99, $15.99, all the way up to 3,000, 3,500 rupees. And because of that, we saw a hike of almost 133%. A lot of people are unhappy with that. There was a grassroots movement on Twitter called EAPC India, which got some international notoriety, but EA never relented. They've still kept the pricing the same.
Yeah, but if you ask me, I mean, 90% of EA games are not worth buying, so you're not losing out on much anyway. So
let's agree to disagree on that, because for a lot of people, FIFA is the only game they pick up.
Like I said, 90%.
Yeah, so for a lot of people, FIFA is the only game they pick up, and for a lot of people, getting FIFA at a reasonable price is a big deal.
Listen, hate me all you want, but I had the unfortunate task of reviewing Need for Speed Payback, and I also played Mass Effect Andromeda earlier this year. So while Mass Effect Andromeda started out very well, you know what happened to that game. I mean, the game practically died, so it's not available anywhere right now. I mean, basically EA is not supporting it anymore, and you probably won't get another Mass Effect game in the future. So why exactly did I buy it? It wasn't worth buying.
Oh, well, in that case, if you're worried about Mass Effect and Need for Speed, I had to review Battlefront 2. And yes, you'll be able to read these our glorious experiences with these games. They'll be posted in the description. But yeah, I mean, so what we were getting back to is that EA and Activision were 2 of the biggest publishers who decided to hold back on PC pricing and ensure there were no subsidies for India.
Yeah.
Another one has been Bethesda. But in Bethesda's case, it was never a question of their games being cheap to begin with. In fact, a lot of times you'd find Skyrim available late or Rage available late, simply because the pricing for India and PC would never match up. They always had the stance from day one of keeping the price same everywhere. So yeah, so essentially it became a situation where for Bethesda stuff you'd find console stuff day one, most of the PC stuff maybe not. And yeah, coming back to our original point, all of this convalesced into the quantum shift that was Grand Theft Auto 5, where the 2499 price point actually made sense. Retailers made money, distributors made money, publishers made money, and because of GTA 5 at 2499, we saw other publishers decide to seize the opportunity and do the same. What we saw after that were games like Watch Dogs 2, games like Assassin's Creed Origins, games like Final Fantasy 15 Windows Edition. All of them are now sporting prices more than what they would have been a few years ago, not to do with the fact of, possibly budget hikes or possible sanctions on games made outside of India. No, it all has to do with the fact that there is an audience at that price point and they're happy doing it at that price point.
Yeah, so the consequence of all of these things is basically you go and look at the top games played charts for Steam, and you can go to third-party websites such as Steam Spy, which are known to give reliable data for like PC gaming in India.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you go and look at the charts over there, you will find that the games that are there in the top list, I mean, 8 out of 10 games are really old games. Like, you'll find stuff like Counter-Strike Condition Zero, you will find stuff like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, you'll find GTA 5 even now because of GTA Online, people are still playing it. So if you look at these charts, you realize that, okay, no, in India, maybe, you know, 1 or 2 games such as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and Civilization 6, the newest expansion, I believe.
Yeah, so Civ 6 is on the charts, on the Steam top seller charts, and it's not the base game, it's the expansion. A lot of it has to do with the price as well, which is around 1200, 1300 rupees.
Yeah.
Now, so what we're essentially seeing right now is the fact that most Indians who are playing games on Steam, at least with the data we're seeing from Steam Spy, at least with the data we're seeing on Steam itself, appear to be games that are either free to play, like Dota 2.
Warframe, don't forget
Warframe.
Warframe.
Yeah, Warframe, Dota 2, Paladins. Or they're essentially really cheap older games like Rocket League, which is 565 rupees. Not exactly old, but cheap at 565
I think even
rupees.
Witcher was there, right?
Yeah, Witcher was still on the top selling list.
Yeah,
and that
but then that's partly because Witcher 3 right now, like, could be on sale because I think they have some kind of a discount running where Witcher 3 is available at 400 rupees.
No, it's nothing to do with the sale.
Okay.
It's at a standard price of 999. The reason why it's still on that list is because of the value you're getting. You're getting a good game that gives you over 60, 80 hours of gameplay time, and that's something people respond to well.
Yeah.
So essentially, but the majority of the list, these outliers aside, are essentially free-to-play games or games that are ridiculously cheap like Rocket League, or games that have a strong community and esports component like Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Now, Counter-Strike Global Offensive, you can still pick up a copy offline for I think $399, $299 within that price range. So it's ridiculously cheap. What people end up doing here is stocking up on copies, because if they get banned for cheating in the game, they can just create a new Steam account and have a copy of the game ready to go. So that's essentially what it seems to be on Steam. And if you look at it, that seems to be working for them. And now the reason why this is happening is, and why publishers are more than happy to let the top 10 be what it is, with the only exceptions being GTA and perhaps Witcher, is the fact of the matter that they're content with the way pricing is going right now. We've tried to speak to several publishers over the course of the last year and a half. None of them were willing to talk on record. None of them were willing to reply to emails. None of them were even willing to pick up the phone and talk about why they've decided to hike pricing. But what we do know for a fact is, yes, GTA 5 was one of the major reasons why they're seeing it work. And secondly, because at the end of the day, they rather take more money from a smaller number of people rather than a wider number of people but make less money.
So if you don't mind, can I like speculate on this a bit?
Sure.
Like one of the reasons why they haven't reduced prices. So if you look at it, as Rishi said, any company, any business would rather have a smaller number of people who are paying them more money than a large number of people who are paying them less money, along with the threat of re-exporting, etc. happening. So one of the reasons is that we've been discussing this for a while internally, which is that AAA gaming is increasingly moving towards in-app purchases, like stuff we've seen on mobile games already. So if you notice, like all the big AAA games, they have some kind of a component, whether it is something reasonable like a DLC pack which you pay for, or it's something completely unreasonable like what we saw with Forza 7.
Yeah.
A really bad microtransactions inside the game where you pay for stuff which essentially increases your car's performance. So things like that, companies want like recurring revenue from you even after you pay that initial higher price, which is 4,000 rupees or whatever, which is why I think most of these companies are hedging their bets on like these few players who can pay them more rather than a bunch of players who will pay less and probably not spend a single penny on the game afterwards. Like somebody who's paid $4.99 for a game, do you really see them paying another like $500 for expansion packs that add maybe 2 new areas to the game? True. I don't. So I think that's probably one of the big reasons why these companies are more than content to keep like prices really high, so that the game is restricted to the people who can afford to pay for like content throughout the life of the game.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it, but it also goes to show how unsustainable the AAA business model is. No one's asked for microtransactions in a game. No one's asked for 4,000 rupees or $60 or whatever you're paying in your country for the base game to be a shell of it, and rather than having all the content. A lot of this has to do with the way these companies are structured and with the fact that at the end of the day, we're not the audience they're serving. The audience they're serving are their shareholders and investors who want to see returns year on year. So that's another thing to keep in mind. A lot of it has to do with the way AAA game development is structured. And that brings us to the next point. If you look at indie games, indie games don't suffer from the same pricing issues.
Not at
We've
all.
seen games go as low as 165 rupees. We've seen games such as Till the Dawn, which who we had its creator Vaibhav on an earlier show. There'll be a link in the description, where his game was 165 rupees. We've had other games like Asura, which is developed by a Hyderabad-based studio for like under 500 bucks. And it's not just them, even globally, games like Pyre were cheap as well. Games like Rocket League, 565 rupees. So my point is, it's these titles which aren't burdened by the overheads and costs that come with AAA game development, or which, by the way, have been self-inflicted. It has nothing to do with people asking for microtransactions or asking for live games as a service. It's just done because, you know, they have to find a way to justify their existence to their investors. So if you look at the indie side of things, it's a very interesting situation. You actually see games that actually provide value at a lower price.
Yeah, and it's not just the indies which are like really cheap. We've also noticed that a bunch of PC games, but older ones, are quite cheap. Like we discussed earlier, Witcher 3 is going for 800 rupees. I have seen Witcher 2 and Witcher 1 regularly going on sale. Witcher 1 is available at 49 rupees or something like that. Witcher 2 is available at 84 rupees on Steam. So you can pick up older games, but then, you know, like the cost is that you will have to wait for it. Like you will have to play it when pretty much nobody else is playing it. So if you don't care about multiplayer, I mean, I personally do not care about multiplayer at all. I am all about playing games for the story. I'm all about playing games for the experience. Okay, I don't really care much about like competing with my friends, etc. Except for maybe some games where I can play local co-op. That appeals to me a lot. So if you're a gamer like me, then you can definitely afford to wait and buy older games, because frankly, I don't think any game, maybe 99% of games that charge that price of 4,499 rupees or whatever it is, I don't think they're worth it. When you can get the same game for around half the price a year later, I think waiting that 1 year is definitely not going to hurt me at all. Which is what I do. I wait for games on all platforms, whether it's PS4, PC, everywhere, and I buy them a little later. I'm getting the same game. Sure, I'm not a part of the conversation right at the beginning, but it's a much more sensible approach to take, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's a trade-off at the end of the day. Do you want to be a part of the conversation when the game's hot and happening, or do you want to play it at a time and leisure that suits you in your budget? And one other thing to keep in mind is Steam pricing. Before, there was a period, yes, there was a period before we had Indian rupee pricing on Steam. And what had happened then was everything was in US dollars and everything was ridiculously expensive. After moving to an Indian rupee pricing, a lot of people expected the price to drop. And while it did for certain games for a very small period of time, the end result is we're still seeing the dollar equivalent in most game pricing. Now, some people had speculated that the reason for this was because Steam had a new payment gateway partner called NovaPlay, and that NovaPlay was dictating terms. But that's far from the case. In fact, a spokesperson for NovaPlay has told Gadgets 360 that it has no say in pricing and no say in conducting pricing. And frankly, that a higher pricing doesn't even work to anyone's advantage. So that's something to keep in mind if you're probably wondering, you know, what happened and what went down. And now the big question is what to expect next. So if you're playing on PC, as you probably guessed from Pranay's hint earlier, is that you're best served waiting for sales. There's no point buying games day one on PC, particularly because of the costs involved. And let's be honest, you can't resell games on PC just yet.
Yeah, but there are certain notable exceptions, such as Age of Empires Definitive Edition. Sure, it's a remaster of a game that was released in 1997, but then you're getting a game with completely redone graphics, completely redone visuals. You're also getting a game with like an active multiplayer community as well, right? So that game is available, I think, in the US for $20. In India, the price is 574 rupees. So at that price, I'd say it's totally worth it. So you need to watch out for these studios which release games at reasonable prices, and you can pick them up on day one. But then there are others like the likes of EA and Activision. Their games on day one in India cost a lot more. I believe Overwatch is available for a much lower rate right now.
Yeah, so Overwatch is perennially on discount, and I think it's 50% off on PC, so that should put it
1500?
Yeah, around 1500, which is a decent price.
Yeah.
But see, the other thing to keep in mind is while Pranay is talking up the virtues of Age of Empires Definitive Edition, there is one thing to note, particularly if you're the average traditional dyed-in-wool PC gamer, is that you'll need something called the Windows Store to use it. And yeah, just that's something to keep in mind. Personally, not a fan, but I can see that, yeah, if you're looking for Age of Empires, and if you're looking for the latest version of it, which is the Definitive Edition, then yeah, I mean, that's your only choice at this point in time. We don't know Microsoft's going to bring it to Steam. At the time of this recording, they haven't said they are.
I don't think they will bring it to Steam.
So, But and then there are other exceptions as well on Steam as well. We've seen Deep Silver Price Kingdom Come Deliverance around 11.79, which is a fair price for an open world historical role playing game, and it looks pretty good too. And you have some publishers who seem to be using price as their big differentiator. How that works out in the long term again remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, by and large, your best bet is sales.
And also if you know where to look, you can find certain games for very cheap. So for example, Humble Bundle is one place where you need to keep checking regularly. Recently they had a Humble Rockstar Bundle. I think they were giving Max Payne 1, 2, 3 and GTA 5 and GTA 4, maybe not 5, yeah, GTA 4, GTA 3 and a bunch of games from Rockstar. I think in all it was some 10 games for a price of $15. So $15 works out to something like 950 rupees in India.
Yep.
Yeah, so 950,000 rupees you could get like 9 or 10 games easily. So you can keep checking sites like these where you get these games in bundles so you can get them for cheap. But then again, like it can be really addictive. I'm saying this as somebody who's like stocked my entire Steam library with a bunch of games that I never play. So only buy the games that you really need. This is something that I can't stress enough. Do not waste your money buying games which you will never play. Always ask yourself this question. Are you going to play this game? How much time do you have in your hand? Because in my experience, I don't know if this is a politically correct thing to say, but in my experience, when you have the money to buy games, you don't have the time to play games. And when you don't have the money to buy games, that's when you have all the time in the world. So make that judgment very wisely.
But one other thing also to keep in mind is that there are certain games that never go on discount.
Yeah.
So PUBG, well, since launch has never dropped in price.
Yeah, but then PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is also priced at $9.99, which is not an unreasonable price for a game that pretty much everybody is playing. Yeah, it may be $30 in the US, but the Indian price is, I think, pretty reasonable. So even if it does not go on discount, it's still not that bad a deal,
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal all said and done. But that's one thing to keep in mind. Some games will just not go on discount.
Yeah.
And for some of, and despite the fact that we mentioned some of the worst offenders like EA and Activision, they actually go on discount quite often. You'll see EA games heavily discounted around the December period, around the Jan period. You'll also see them probably do a summertime discount. So that's something to keep in mind. In terms of Activision stuff, yeah, from time to time there'll be a deal on PlayStation Network if you like that side of things. Well, a lot of people seem to be going that way.
Yeah, and all these guys have their own stores as well, right?
Yeah.
Like the likes of EA and Activision.
Yeah, so EA and Activision is getting there. They already have Battle.net for Destiny and Overwatch as well. And we've seen Destiny drop in price a few times there, or Destiny 2 rather drop a few times in price there. We've seen Overwatch drop a few times in price. Even World of Warcraft, Diablo, everything drops in price around the winter season, sometimes in summer as well.
Yeah, and for all my hate of EA in general, their Origin store on PC is actually quite good, like both in terms of customer service and in terms of giving you discounts.
Yeah.
And once again, like I'll constantly vouch for waiting, because I waited and I waited and I waited and I got Mass Effect 2 for free on Origin because there was a deal going on.
Yeah, so that's my point. That's something you want to take a look at. A lot of these stores end up having deals, end up giving freebies. Because there's one thing you do have to understand is that a lot of the bigger publishers, because they have their own storefront, they don't have to worry about something called retailer margin or even giving Steam any money.
Yeah.
So traditionally what happens when a publisher puts a game on Steam, Steam takes 30%.
Yes.
But if it's EA's own store, EA gets the full 100% and they can leverage that whichever way they choose. So, which is why you're seeing publishers like EA, publishers like Ubisoft, publishers like Activision talking up the benefits of PC gaming, because in their case there is the potential and possibility to get all the revenue without giving it to anyone else.
Yeah, so even if you look at those other platforms such as PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, ultimately somebody else is taking a cut, right? That's why Activision and all these companies would rather have all the money from PC gamers than get a portion of the money. But at the moment, I don't think PC gaming in general is making that much money for like most of these AAA titles. Console is where the game is at, right?
Right now, yes, that seems to be the case. If we go by financial earnings from all of these companies, it's essentially PS4 followed by Xbox One and Switch, and PC being the last one. But the reason why PC is important is because it's a user base that's pro-digital, so it's very easy. They don't have to worry about download speeds for a majority of the part. India obviously is still getting there. We're not there yet, and they see that being something to hold on to, in terms of an audience to cultivate. But then if you look at it over a long term, right, we've seen situations where games like Battlefield 4, while having a large community on PC, When it came to Battlefield 1, most of it was on PS4, followed by Xbox One. And it's a question of which games sustain on PC and which don't. So fine, World of Warcraft, sustainable. Every other year you're going to have an expansion. People are going to keep coming back. But with others like Battlefield, it isn't that easy. Even with games like Battlefront 2, it's not that easy. So it's a question of figuring out and going where your friends are. And if most of your friends are on PlayStation, you'd rather go there. Which actually brings us to the other point of it, and this is a minor segue. I'm sure for those of you who are pro PC, yeah, this is the time you turn off.
Yeah, seriously.
Now the reason we've seen similar hikes on console, but not as acute. We've seen situations where last generation, a lot of Xbox 360, PS3 games, their starting price was 2499. Now they've increased by 1,000 rupees, so most of it is 3499. The reason for this, well, has to do with a bunch of factors, a majority of which has to do with the fact that when you look at the foreign currency exchange over the last 10 years, that has seen a hike. Now, for the longest time, most games available in India on console, the pricing was dictated by their euro price or their pound price because that's where the publishers were based. So when a distributor brings in a game on console, he has to keep that in mind. So we've seen fluctuations there, and that's one of the reasons why we're seeing a 3499 price point being what's there right now versus 2499 last time. The other reason is obviously the publisher mentality. Back when the Xbox 360 launched, yes, we're old, we remember the Xbox 360 launched here. It was games from Microsoft, particularly the first party lineup, Halo, Crackdown. A lot of these games were priced at 1800, 1900 rupees. And the reason why we're seeing a spike right now is, for one, Microsoft realized it didn't make sense subsidizing price too much. And they came in with faulty math where, a base of 1 billion people, out of which 10% will buy the Xbox 360, not realizing that no one wanted to pay 25K for a console.
Yeah.
So that's some of the reasons we've seen in the past with console pricing rising. But what's good to know is that despite all the gloom and doom with the budget, from what we've been given to understand, that's not going to impact game pricing too much. The reason being, there's only a 0.7% increase on game price. Now, hardware, we don't know because due to the budget, basic customs duty on hardware has been hiked by 10%, making it now 20%. We don't know who's going to take the hit. We've got at the time of recording this, we've got in touch with Microsoft, we've got in touch with Sony, and they haven't reverted to us on what to expect, because from what we gather, they've been taken by surprise on this new budget which has come out. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And yeah, one platform where you're never going to see discounts is Nintendo, because one, Nintendo is not here, and two, you can buy games digitally, but we wouldn't recommend that. The pricing on physical games as it is expensive. It's getting a little better over time, but by and large, anything on the Switch, anything on the 3DS, be it Pokemon, be it Mario, be it even Skyrim, which is for some reason costs almost 5,000 rupees, rarely changes in price.
Come on, man, that's not entirely true. There was an NBA 2K18 Gold Edition which went down from $160 to $80 on the Switch recently.
Yeah, Gold Edition. So basically more microtransactions than games. Yeah, I don't think too many people would want to play that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's where we're at essentially.
Yeah.
So long story short, where should you go from here if you're the budget-minded, budget-oriented gamer like most of us are?
Not on PC, because PC hardware right now is insanely expensive. So yeah, I mean, I personally blame all these Bitcoin mining people. If you know a Bitcoin miner, just go and tell them that you are the reason I can't play my games, and just, give them a really long-winded speech, and maybe they'll stop mining.
Yeah.
But don't know. But yeah, in general, I mean, jokes aside, Bitcoin mining requires GPUs, right? So world over, like, people have been buying GPUs in the hundreds and trying to mine Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, and that has driven the price of GPUs up, and consequently prices of CPUs have also gone up, and people who really want to play games, they are suffering because their PC hardware, the assembled PCs which they make, all of this costs maybe 1.5 times what it used to earlier.
Yeah, so that's essentially true. And in case you want to know more about that, that was our very first episode of Talk About Games. It'll be linked in the description, where we have our reviews editor Jamshed break down why you're paying more for your PCs.
Yep.
So that's essentially the situation on PC. So if you're budget oriented right now, and if you're looking to get your game on, well, PC is a bit of a concern given all things to consider. And in with that in mind, the PS4 and Xbox One seem like better deals. More so when you can pick up a PS4 for 22 or 21,000 with warranty. Now there's a trick to this. What you do is you go to the store, you tell the storekeeper that you want the console without the games and PS Plus. He'll give it to you with warranty for that price. And this is something I've experienced thrice in the last couple of weeks. It's possible, it can be done. On the Xbox One, yeah, your choices are a little more limited, but you can do the same and get a better deal. So if you're looking on a budget, you'd rather do that for now, simply because you can buy physical games. When you're done with them, you can sell them out and use that money towards newer games. Essentially, it's like using your old games as currency to buy new ones, and that's something we would recommend, all things said and done. And if you're on PC, you have a decent machine, and you don't want to move anywhere else, well, your best bet is to wait for sales. And that's the best you can do at this stage. Wait for sales, try getting in when there's a discount, or try other sites which may have third-party keys at a better rate. So that's what we'd suggest for if you're on that side of the fence.
Yeah.
And with that, we've reached the end of this episode. If you stuck around for so long, we won't be wasting any more of your time. Thank you ever so much for watching. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. And check out our site, gadgets360.com. We also have a weekly podcast called Transition, where we discuss and dissect everything important in the world of gaming. And yeah, hit the notification bell to know when videos go live. Thank you.